This is the Borough Crafton Company, November 23rd, 2021. Call to order. Flag salute, Ms. Perry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to stand indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks. All right, roll call.
Mr. Amendola? Here. Mr. Chandler is absent. Mr. Kraus?
Here.
Mr. Crown? Here. Mr. Lavasser?
Here.
Mr. Oliverio?
Here.
Ms. Perry?
Here,
Mayor Bloom said he would not be joining us, but he would be possibly coming on Zoom. He's not here at the moment. Solicitor Corbel? Here. Engineer Harkeen? I get that right? All right. And myself. We have a quorum.
Can I proceed? Moving forward to the consent agenda with approval of the minutes for November 9th, 2021, and the bills list for November 23rd, 2021. Any questions concerning the aforementioned?
Is there a second?
a second.
Again, any questions concerning the items? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All that opposed? None opposed? Consent.
6-0. Sorry.
Thank you. We have the acknowledgement of the receipt of written reports, October 2021, including finance report, the Act 511, trash collection, property tax collection, police, EMS, building inspection, code enforcement, and treasurer's report. Any questions from council concerning those items? All right, hearing none. Moving forward to public comments. Do we have the sign-up sheet? Anybody online?
No one. We do have one person, but they've not raised their hand.
All right. Engineer Harkeen, the floor is yours. You're going to be speaking about the Alcosan Grow Grant presentation concerning Broadhead Stormwater Separation Project overview. I'm just going to add a little color to that. We had a meeting with Alcosan a couple of weeks ago, and we gave them an update to this project that we've been putting together for the past few years. So, floor is yours.
You know what? It might just be better if you just sat there. If that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the mic is right there. The way the public can hear it. Yeah.
So this is the fifth separation project that we're working on. The first one we did was the Fountain Sycamore separation project. That was a 7-acre separation of drainage area, not including the roofs. Then we did the South Grandview project. That was about 13 acres of separation. The third one we did was Crafton Boulevard. That was about 25 acres of stormwater separation from the combined system. The fourth one was South Grandview, I'm sorry, Woodlawn and Fountain, which is 39 acres of separation. So the next one we had was the Broadhead. Initially we called it the Broadhead and Busway. When we were analyzing it, it was kind of difficult to grab a lot of that busway drainage, so we just kind of focused more on Broadhead. And that project is, in total, it's about 46 acres of separation, of which 7 acres are roofs. So we're not separating the roofs from the combined system, just parking lots, driveways, yards, streets. A lot of the storm collection system from the road is going to be separated. So in total, we have 39 acres of separation for this project. Do you mind? Can you pull up the one that says aerial on there? The one that says overall with the aerial. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so this is an overview of the project. Zoom in a little bit more if you can. Sorry. Yeah, so we have Broadhead is kind of our downstream most point in this watershed here. And what we're doing is separating, we're gonna be separating this entire neighborhood here, which is gonna be include Warren Street, Park Street, Coulter Street, also some of Crennel and some of North Emily. Do you mind pulling up the one that says the drainage area exhibit? So as you can see here. So everything that's kind of highlighted, those are the different drainage areas that go into our new system that we're going to install. So overall, it's been like I mentioned, it's 46 acres. So the perimeter of all those different colored areas is all the drainage area that we're going to separate from the combined system. The way we're going to do it here is along Warren, Park, Coulter, Crennel, North Emily, Broadhead, there's your combination system that's there now. There's inlets, there's, down the long parallel streets, there's 8-inch sewer lines right now, or combination lines that are tied into your catch basins that are catching the road runoff, catching your roofs, catching kind of the overflow. So you have 8-inch lines running down these side roads and then running down Broadhead. There's a combination of a 15-inch line. There's also a 60-inch sewer line there. So what we're doing is everywhere that you see that it's in black, we've gone ahead and we're going to separate about 50 inlets. So right now in this web of 8 different roads, there's 50 inlets at the intersections or along the road that are tied into your combo system. So what we're going to do is provide a designated storm line. So down Warren, down Park, down Coulter, down Crennel, we're going to have brand new storm lines, starting at 15-inch. They go up to 18-inch, they go up to 24-inch, 30-inch. By the time we get down towards the, do you mind going down towards the left? By the time we get down Broadhead and get onto Crafton Boulevard and come down the path to take you to the stream, we have a 42-inch line. So what we did is we modeled the system to carry from, 1-inch storm, 1-year storm up to 100-year storm. And this is just straight storm water. The reason we picked this one is because there's a lot of infrastructure that's kind of close to each other. We have those 4 roads, a lot of inlets, and we're able to go ahead and install a storm system for a very, not a cheap price, but it's not cost-wise. We're getting a lot of infrastructure for very little cost. So by doing that, what we did is the plan is to replace all brand new inlets, but all brand new storm lines, and at the same time come through and do road restoration for these streets. So as we work down Crafton Boulevard, we'll mill and overlay that road, Broadhead mill and overlay. As you go up Warren, Park, Coulter, North Emily, there, some of the areas where we have our pipe that's too close to the curbs, we'll be replacing the road, the curbs, kind of like South Grandview, like we did there, like we've done at Crafton Boulevard, like we're doing at Woodlawn. These are all Warren, Park, Coulter, Crennel, North Emily. Those are all, some of them are overlaid with pavement, but underneath it's brick. So the plan is to take out the brick and do a new paved road, just because when we come in here with our storm installation, we're going to be ripping up 6-8 feet of the road going across. So there's going to be a lot of disturbance to the road. And even right now, some of the, as you look Park Street and Coulter, the pavement is all broken up. I mean, and underneath that, you can see patches of brick. So if we try to do a mill and overlay, it's just going to break up, short amount of time. You're going to be doing this over again. And so with Alcosan here, and also right now, you have the brick and you have the overlay. So you have very little curb reveal on all these roads. So you got all this water shooting down these roads with very little curb reveal, or some areas the curbs kind of just washed away, the sandstone curb. So in doing this, we're going to try to manage the storm water and have a separate system. And then ultimately we're going to discharge it down onto Chartiers Creek. We've gone ahead and submitted for that permit just to have that in place. That's the only permit we need for this project is the discharge permit for the stormwater. And then as far as the efficiency of the project with Alcosan for separation projects, I mean, those are the ones that they give kind of the most money for because they're the best bang for your buck. But we're going to be at about 50 cents a gallon removed for this. Overall for the project, we're in the range of like $5.5–6 million for the cost of this project. And the goal is, or the hope is to get the 85% from Alcosan match. We presented this to Tim 2 weeks ago, as Phil mentioned. And they've already waived us from doing the limit of the LOI, the initial submission. We've already got that waiver. So in January, they're going to issue a letter saying we've selected your project And then we'll have till June to get a final set of construction plans, cost estimate, and get that to Alcosan. If they award that, they'll probably award at the end of next year. So this would be a 2023 project.
And about how far along are we currently with this current scope?
Yeah, I mean, right now we have, I have pretty good construction plans. One of the things I do want to do is, in the next few weeks here is kind of walk it with borough staff and just make sure that we're not, because right now we're replacing a lot of the sidewalk and curb, and there might be some areas where we can try to leave some of the existing stuff and try to bring the cost down a little bit more and get it more in the 40 cent range if we can. Alcosan, even a couple of years ago, their target for a separation project, if you're under 65 cents a gallon removed, you're getting 85%. So right now we're at 50 cents. With what we're doing. I mean, this is the biggest one. I mean, we're at 40 or 39 acres.
Right.
So, and this one,
And for that conversation, there were other, I don't know if you're gonna get into C-22 and talk about that further, about the other mini projects or.
yeah, we can, you mind pulling up the one that says C-22 on there? Yeah, so as part of the C-22 area, you can see over here, we have site 8A is the Broadhead. That's the one we're trying to get into now to the to Alcosan. Crafton Boulevard we're working on currently, and Bar we brought into Crafton Boulevard, so that's part of it. Another thing that that Tim recommended was that Perrine site that's down there. That's about a 4-acre separation project, and I'm going to submit that with this project because he said he would include it as part of the C-22 and consider it one project instead of submitting two separate projects. He said go ahead and submit it as one. So Perrine Street is another one. It's a 3-acre separation there. So we're going to include that with our Broadhead. So that's going to be what we're trying to submit here. We're going to submit it to them in the next couple of weeks, and then they'll give us the waiver letter here in January. And then we'll have some time to kind of finalize everything, make sure we agree on all the quantities and all the items that we were going to be removing and replacing and doing the site restoration on. And then we'll make the submission in June.
Question.
Sure.
So for Broadhead, what will the road reconstruction look like?
It's going to be a full depth reconstruction. That's what we're proposing now. So the cost that we have now is based on removing all the brick, putting
There's no
down.
brick, well,
No, Broadhead will be just mill and overlay. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the whole project. Yeah, Broadhead will be mill and overlay.
what about the sidewalks?
Adding sidewalks for areas where there weren't sidewalks, like on Broadhead, we are not proposing new sidewalk.
Why?
We were just wherever there was sidewalk, we're replacing sidewalk.
I understand.
Alcosan will not pay for new sidewalk on
understand.
top of, we can, that's why, that's something we could do. So,
Right, I understand
Yeah.
now, because it's not gonna pay for sidewalks,
Yeah.
but we can.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
Future councils will consider,
Yep.
beautifying some of our parts of our borough, which have been woefully underfunded
Yeah.
for the past 25 or so years. And Broadhead is one of those places where there's a lot of walking traffic, but there's nowhere to walk. So you're walking in people's yards, you're walking in the middle of the street, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so being that we have done some really nice work and over on Grandview, I'm interested to see if we can recreate that in other places throughout the borough. So is there any thought as to what it might look like over there with some sidewalks?
As far as Broadhead, I think right now there is a wider right of way. Like if you're coming up Crafton Boulevard and you're turning onto Broadhead, and you have some of the apartment buildings there, some of the multifamily units, they have long driveways that lead back to where their buildings are.
Yes.
So you do have right of way there that is borough right of way where a sidewalk could be installed.
Because I think that would be gangbusters for those residents over there. A lot of people, like I said, walk that area and go up the hill.
Yeah, I think that's something we can look at, because you mind going back to the, go to the overall utility plan? It's one of the other PDFs. Yeah, do you mind zooming in a little bit into that? Yeah, to see Broadhead, zoom in a little bit more. Broadhead does have a wider right of way down towards the bottom, and as it's going up. So on the north side of the screen, that's where you'd want to put the sidewalk, because you do have more right of way through there.
Yeah, like I said, I live over there, Freddie lives over there.
Yep.
We see people walking around. I see people walking over there all the time. And there's no streetlights, there's no sidewalks. It looks like it's not part of, Clearview or Bar or all those other places that have seen a lot of investment over the last 4 years.
Yeah, no, and like I said, we're gonna get this to Alcoasand here in a couple of weeks. They'll authorize it or approve it in January. And then there's a 6-month period to finalize the design. So by no means is the design complete or finalized, so.
To that point, and my question was going to be around streetscaping or beautification or anything, is it just purely the road?
Yeah, that way I had it now was just straight restoration of where we're disturbing, so.
The second question I had is on Exhibit A, where, I don't know if you can go down this, but where will we be when all the projects are complete? from a percentage
And you know what, that's something that I'm not very, like, the stuff with the separate, or I'm sorry, with the consent order and percentages, I'm not very familiar with. That's more Rick and Jen.
Okay.
But I
We
just,
talked a little bit about
yeah.
it.
But I just know, let me get a piece of paper here, one second.
So in front of everybody's desk, there's a map and then Exhibit A. And this pertains to the consent order, which we're going to be voting on tonight to authorize officials to execute that. And might as well just talk about this now, if that's okay. I'll be brief. So the basic purpose of this new consent order is to make sure that 85% of the flows get to Alcoasand. And 15% are discharged into the overflows and streams. So just for that, we're talking about C22. Right now, 47% is getting to Alcoasand and 53% is getting dumped into Chartiers Creek. That's unacceptable. So what this consent order is telling us is that we need to get up to 85% capture, or at least increase it 10 percentage points. So for example, C25, we're at an 82% capture rate. We would only have to capture an additional 3%. C22, we're at 47, we would have to capture 57. Now, these Exhibit A are based on numbers from flow monitoring that was done in a regional effort from 2008. What we need to do is the first 6 months after we sign this consent order, we need to reflow monitor, determine what the actual numbers are. Now, these 2008 numbers are close, but we need to confirm, because then after we confirm what the capture conditions are, then we have to design and build to meet the requirements of the capture, and then another year of flow monitoring, and then that consent order is final or finished, and there'll probably be another one.
Yeah, but many of these projects are going to get us over that finish line.
Yeah,
Based on the
yeah,
2008
so-
numbers, correct?
Yeah, and on the map here is some of the outline, the sewer separation projects currently that we have done. So these numbers are gonna improve, but that's what the flow monitoring and the modeling will tell us. So that's the basic overview of what we're signing here tonight, or entering into.
Yeah, that's as you mentioned for I took some notes from the meeting, so for the C22, 47% capture. And they were saying there's 80 million of overflow a year that's occurring on C22, and 80 million gallons a year for C22. So,
Sewage going into the.
yeah, so our separation project, the ones that we have in C22, Crafton Boulevard, that one's going to remove 7.8 million. And then we have this one here, Broadhead, that one was going to remove, Broadhead's going to remove about 12.9 million. So right there, we're already removing about 20 million from the system of overflow. So C22, we're gonna hit pretty hard. The other one,
So we're well on our way already. We're ahead of the game. A lot of other communities are behind the 8 ball, and we're ahead of the game, which is a good position to be in. Very ahead of the game, so.
yeah, Crafton Boulevard, 7.8 million. South Grandview was 1.5 million. Woodlawn and Fountain was 14.6 million. And that's C24 for Woodlawn and Fountain. Fountain Sycamore, 1.2 million. That's also C24. So for these separation projects, we're 2 of them are for C22. One of them was for C23, and then two of them were for C24. So,
For the basis for it, is Elkasam basing their evaluation on this data here from 2008, or are they going to do the reflow monitoring for all the communities to kind of stabilize?
We are going to, each community, if we want to not challenge these numbers, but confirm and have accurate numbers, we will do the flow monitoring, which is $160,000 just next year. And then in that, there's another almost 96,000 in engineering, which is the modeling and getting the data to talk to each other. That's beyond my scope.
Alberta, a question for you.
Sure.
Based off of the fact that it's gonna cost almost $200,000 to reconfirm the numbers, what do you see in other communities? Whereby, how far off, in other words, how far off is 2008 from? the last?
And I'm sorry, but that's not my expertise. I
Just
don't do a lot of separation. Honestly, I know nothing about the separation and sewer modeling and all that. I don't do that stuff. I just do more of the land development, design, stormwater. So that I can't say where or how,
So you can't even indulge me then?
not for consent order stuff. I know nothing. I don't do anything with consent order with any municipalities. That's not my, it's Jen and Rick that do that kind of work. So.
Fair enough. Mr. Sample, do you have any idea? Because I mean, to pay $200,000 to know that we get from 71 to 72% and then just capture the remaining difference, to me is, we're gonna capture it, so tell me if that is gonna make a difference. I didn't.
So Alcoasand.
Okay.
There's one here, my answer.
The data is, nobody has done the flow monitoring. Certain communities have done a few little areas, but nobody has put the meters in because nobody signed the order. So we don't really know. We've done. But it's critical that we get the actual numbers so we know and are designing the projects to solve the issue of the sewage being dumped in the river.
To Brad's point, if we don't do it, will it be based?
It'll be based on these numbers.
But let me clarify something for you. There's two reasons why you have to collect the data, all right? Number one, it's to update those numbers. Number two, in order for you to get the money for the projects, you have to have a baseline that proves that there's been improvement. You cannot do projects and not demonstrate performance. So therefore, this is a performance-based project. When we do any of these projects, they want to see improvement. Period.
But will we have improvement over these numbers no matter what? Because they're from 2008, based on everything.
You would like to see improvement. However, as Rick mentioned in the previous meetings, the system could be degrading in other parts. And that's why we have all those other contracts with the monitoring, et cetera, because there's other inflow and infiltration that we have to keep up with. We hope through our operation and maintenance plan that we have done a good job of keeping other issues from arising. You go back to the 2005 order, which Mr. Sample can speak to. I'd like to speak a little more of what happened in 2005.
2005 was the first time that we actually put cameras into the lines and said, what do we got down here? And then we had to correct the level 5s, which is the worst defect. The pipe is broken, it's jointed. And then we rated the defects down to level 1. And then, so we've been cammering, so we've been updating and upgrading our system since 2005.
And we're one of the only municipalities actually pretty confident.
And like even one thing Crafton's been good at, you've been ahead on sewers, like even taking advantage of the money through the Invest programs was that was the money, the seed money at the time that we used to make all the defect corrections. And we were talking $1 million corrections. But our system is in, I can say this, it was in one of the worst shapes of at least gateway communities. Our system was in need of upgrade.
Not to belabor it, but as you're talking, I'm thinking of this. Because we've made all these improvements, if we do the reflow analysis right now, won't that jack the numbers up to be higher? So then we won't be able to include the 10% if it's needed, and I think we use that as the baseline.
They're giving us credit for these projects.
These numbers working over.
Yeah. But these projects are going towards making that 10%.
Right, but I mean, like, if we did the reflow, I think you said that it's gonna be our baseline then, with that reflow, then we've got to do improvements on top of all of that.
So there's calculated, in the model, it shows, so if you look at a watershed analysis, which is what this is, there's a number that they know whenever we have whatever rate of rainfall with roofs, they deduct roofs, they deduct other parameters, and they come up with what they understand to be the flow that would hit their models, right? So we're trying to demonstrate that we're taking flow out of their base model. So they already have a base model, and the data thing is we're trying to ground truth our actual flows.
I just want to make sure that the projects that we're working on now, they're gonna affect our numbers to make that base high, meaning the percentage higher that's flowing to Alpha versus source. Yeah, that's important.
You only got 6 months for the consent order agreement. You only have 6 months to do the flow monitoring and to say, no, these are the numbers that are correct based on this data. So, anything more on Broadhead? We segued nicely, we took care of the consent order, so, you did describe when the grant will be.
Yeah,
Yeah, you did, yeah.
So the silver lining is South Grandview, the Crafton Boulevard separation, Woodlawn Fountain, all those numbers are gonna be impacted. We will see, to your point, the reduction, that data will be hopefully representative of that.
Right now, Woodlawn is, I'm sorry, Fountain, Sycamore is done, South Grandview is done, Crafton Boulevard, the whole storm system is in, so that's catching storm water. And then for the Woodlawn and Fountain, I'm sorry, for the Woodlawn and Fountain one, all the Woodlawn storm is in, and right now we're halfway up Fountain, so we'll have that storm all installed for the Woodlawn and Fountain project here within the next month. Yeah. I mean, the plan for Woodlawn is to get that paved here and curbs installed in the next, hopefully we get good weather the next few weeks. So that whole portion will be in. So the majority of, when you guys go to do this in 2-3 months, we'll be rolling with our restoration.
So to answer your question, John, ideally, would it be nice to model everything with all the projects that we have on the slate through 2025 done, but we don't have that luxury due to the established compliance deadlines outlined by the DEP. So to answer your question, Claudia and I have been to some of the presentations. John was there. At this point, with this order, this is a different type of order than they've issued in the past. the U.S. Department of Justice, the U.S. EPA, the DEP from Pennsylvania, Allegheny County Health Department, all of them are now a part of this order, and they're the ones that have written it and constructed it to direct the municipalities in Allegheny County to go at. And at the presentation 2 years ago, DOJ said, this isn't like 10 years ago or 20 years ago where you're going to fight us on it. It's either you do it or we're going to come after you criminally. And so that's the rhetoric. Okay, so proceed with your presentation.
And this is a unique region because we're separate. I mean, 83 municipalities, Alcoasand. Usually the state or the feds come in, they deal with Alcoasand, and we're out of it. But because we have individual agreements, it's a litigious type. That's why it took, what was this thing going on, 4 years? On this consent, yeah.
The overall thing about it is, it's the right thing to do, because there's flooding, you can't have the sewer and stormwater going together into the creek, and it's not, overall, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
The systems were set up in the 1800s, they weren't ready for all of
So would you like to proceed, please?
There's nothing, I mean,
That's it?
yeah, I mean, that was really it, so.
So other silver lining is hopefully that we will move forward in earnest here to do the work. And then if there's any other opportunities for development in Crafton, we will be able to have the sewer taps that we need for any type of development down the road. So that is a carrot that we are compliant, that will be in good stead to have additional taps granted to us by Allegheny County. Good. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You're dismissed. All right, moving forward to the president's report. I think we've addressed everything I wanted to address in this discussion, so moving forward to the mayor's report, is Mayor Bloom online?
He is not.
All right. Thank you. Solicitor's report? Manager's report?
I did upload my manager's report to the OneDrive this afternoon. If there's any questions, feel free to give me a call. It's pretty explanatory, and I covered most of it. I will be covering most of it too with these motions.
Thank you. Moving forward to the business agenda. Street opening ordinance, updates to the borough's street opening ordinance, motion to approve ordinance 1672, amending chapter 193, article 2 of the Crafton Borough Code of Ordinances, revising regulations pertaining to street openings.
Second.
Questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All that oppose? Hearing none, I oppose. Motion passes. Moving forward to the 2021 audit of financial statements of government activities. Per the borough's codification, the council shall annually appoint by resolution by December 31st of each year an independent auditor to make an independent examination of accounting records of the Borough of Crafton for the fiscal year. Therefore, we have a motion to adopt resolution 2021-020, appointing Maher Dussel as Crafton Borough's independent auditor to conduct the 2021 annual financial audit at a cost not to exceed $12,925.
So moved.
Questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All that opposed? Hearing none that opposed, motion passes. Hi, Mayor Bloom. Do you have anything that you'd like to report this evening?
I can't hear you.
Do you have
Do you
anything
have
you wanna
anything to report?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought the meeting started at 7:15.
All right, well, you missed the exhilarating conversation and presentation about the Broadhead sewer separation project.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was a 7 o'clock meeting.
It's all right.
6:30, it started at 6:30.
Okay. All right, if you have anything to add, just please raise your hand and we'll make time for your questions.
I will do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving forth, Duncan Avenue Drainage Project. The borough received a single bid for Duncan Avenue Drainage Project for independent enterprises in the amount of $44,900. Engineer estimate is $45K and grant award is $23,348. The county requires that the project must be rebid if only one bid is received for the project. Therefore, council will need to vote to reject the bid in order to rebid the project. We have a motion to reject the single bid received from Independent Enterprises for $44,900 for the Duncan Avenue Drainage Project.
Second.
I know I had a discussion with Mr. Oliveri. He had some questions. Solicitor Corbel, could you explain how this works, please? Why we have to reject and just go over the nature of that?
Per the county requirements of their handling of the CDBG monies, if only one bid is required, they have to throw it out. So it's a requirement of the funding agency.
Thank you. No.
The COG actually handles per the agreements with the county funding, federal funding. The COGs handle all the advertising and contract management of these projects.
And under normal circumstances, I think the solicitor can talk about a little bit about public bid process. Would you add color to that, please? Could you talk about what happens when you have a announced bid opening that no other bids can be received because Mr. Oliverio asked or suggested that we try to solicit other bids? Could you just talk about that process? Yeah. Right, and if you don't follow the rules on the bid process, you can correct. Okay. All right, any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All that oppose? None that oppose, motion passes. 2022 proposed budget, advertisement and public inspection, 2022 budget and related resolutions will be voted on December 9th, 2021, council at that council meeting. We have a motion to advertise and make available for public inspection the 2022 proposed general road, sewer, and capital funds budget.
So moved.
Questions, comments?
Are we gonna have any more discussions on the budget? Mr. President,
Let me ask the finance chair.
are we gonna have any more discussions on the budget? I'd like to have some more discussions on the budget.
At the end of last meeting, it was agreed that the budget as was updated was ready for advertising. So it is not my expectation.
I don't think I agree with that.
You weren't here.
Can we have some more discussion on the budget?
Well,
We have a motion on the floor.
Yeah, we do
So
have.
can we call the vote?
Yeah, call the vote.
So that means no more discussion on the budget.
We have a motion on the floor right now, so it depends on.
Can we
how-
table that motion until we have some discussion on the budget?
We'll vote.
Can I make a motion that we table that motion? Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we table this motion until we have time to discuss the budget some more.
I second Fred's motion.
Mr. Amendola, I'm sorry,
May I get clarification on what we are voting on at this moment?
that's a fair.
Thank you.
Mr. Amendola,
Yes?
Mr. Kraus,
Kraus or Crown?
we got, Kraus first.
Yes.
Mr. Crown? No. Mr. Lavasser?
No.
Mr. Oliverio? No. Ms. Perry?
No,
Motion fails, 2-4.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Amendola,
And this motion is to advertise for the budget as it is. Is that right? It's to advertise the preliminary. Okay, well, I will vote no to advertise. I think the budget needs much, much more discussion. I'm sorry I missed the last meeting, but there's many things that need to be discussed, and my vote would be no.
Mr. Kraus?
Yes.
Mr. Crown?
Yes.
Mr. Lavasser?
Yes.
Mr. Oliverio?
Yes.
And Ms. Perry?
yes,
Motion passes 5-1.
All right, thank you. Moving forward to the consent order, the borough is required to execute a consent order and agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection for the operation of the borough's combined sewer system. The motion to adopt resolution 2021-021, authorizing Philip Lavasser and Chloe Perry to execute the consent order and agreement between Crafton Borough and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection.
so moved.
Do I hear a second? Questions, comments?
You have a question. I'm going to address this to Mr. Corbel and Mr. Sample, if I may. Can you give some additional context to this council and to the community as to the nature of what the role might be for Mr. Lavasser and Ms. Perry in regards to this consent order and agreement? In what capacity? How does that work?
Yeah, so there's 2 signatories for, where the solicitor will sign, and then 2 signatories for the borough.
Isn't this the kind of thing that would be done by a manager?
Different municipalities handle it.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're passing is a resolution to authorize who signs.
And it's just a signature?
Yes.
No more, no less? Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All that opposed?
No, no.
Motion passes 4-2.
Thank you.
Mr. Amendola and Mr. Kraus.
President, may I,
Okay. The last time.
may I just, Mr. Corbel?
Yes.
So there were 2 motions that we had requested to be on the agenda at our last meeting that got left off. And I know we're under some new rules. And what is the process to introduce those motions. I think we have to get agreement to introduce them. Yes. Okay,
So there will be two votes. That passes. Or vote to consider plus one.
okay,
And then Mr. Sanders has to amend that. However, we post on
okay. So then the first motion is to discuss, to put the motion.
it will be a motion to add
Okay,
X.
so there's essentially, there are two letters of intent for the Department of Community and Economic Development to do departmental reviews. So is that two separate? Or can I make a motion to put both of us? There's-
Two different departments.
Okay, so then the first thing that I need to do is to introduce a motion to put the motion to authorize the interim manager to submit a letter of intent to the Department of Community and Economic Development requesting technical assistance to perform an assessment of Crafton Borough's Police Department.
Inadvertently left off.
Yes,
And that's the reason for both.
yes. The other one is for the Public Works.
That's fine. So there's a motion.
Comments, questions?
So
this is an-
about this?
Oh, go ahead.
It's very easy to find.
So at two of our previous meetings, I believe Mr. Crown had asked about what options we had to get better metrics and better understanding around the performance of both, in this case, the police department. And pursuant to that inquiry 2 meetings ago, our interim manager, Mr. Sample, said that there was a program from DCED where we could submit a letter of intent and that they would perform that function, that review at no cost. And at the last meeting, we directed Mr. Sample to put it on the next agenda. And unfortunately, it was omitted. And so I'm asking for it to be put up for a motion so that we don't lose 3 more weeks.
So, all right, can we go on that? Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All that opposed?
No.
Thank you.
Underline.
Okay, so then there, oh,
So now it's a motion to actually, that was a motion.
okay.
Put it in the agenda. Now it's a
Now
motion.
there's the emotion to, okay. So I'd like to submit a motion to the motion to authorize the interim manager to submit a letter of intent to the Department of Community and Economic Development requesting technical assistance to perform an assessment of the Crafton Borough's Police Department.
Assessment of
Hold on, we need a second. All right, now discussion.
an assessment of what? The performance, their need for a 10th police officer, their overall, well, I don't want him to answer the question. I'd like you to answer the question. An assessment of what?
What was requested is an overall assessment. And Mr. Sample, can you address what sort of program this is and what they will do?
So it would look at staffing, oh, I'm sorry, let me. Please. It would be staffing, technology, equipment, scheduling, overview of just an entire operations of the department.
Is this not the kind of information the department should be giving to the borough in some kind of regular capacity? I mean, it would strike me is that we have an entire department that is receiving a large output of the municipal budget. And am I to understand that we don't have any of this information at all?
We had done, there was an overall study of the entire borough's operations in it started in 2015, or it was finalized in 2017. So it would be a more in-depth view of what that was.
So the answer would be no, the department does not give this borough council, and by definition, the taxpayer at large, this type of information on any regular basis. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
I'm not quite sure of the
We get
question,
a
but
monthly, we do get a monthly.
Can we
report.
allow the mayor to answer the question, actually? Thank you. Mayor Bloom, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. My question would be, I've talked to the chief because we had both heard that this was going to be brought up. There was a study completed in 2017. That report is in the borough's office as far as manning and everything that the study inquired or completed. Now, why you want to do it again, I don't know. If it's something that Ms. Perry feels necessary, I'd sure like to know why. We got a police department, and whenever you take over in January, you can have meetings with the chief, and you can decide at that time if this study is necessary. But right now, I would just hold off until the new council comes in January, and then move from there. But doing it right now, I don't think it's a wise thing to do. Thank you.
How much would a study like this be? What would our costs be for a study like this?
there's no cost to this program.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's free. Didn't we just hire somebody to do a study in the borough for the public works and the?
No, we have not done that for the public
What was
works.
the administrative office? Isn't that somebody that worked for you or something that
No.
you brought in?
No,
No,
it's up for advertising.
it's out for advertising.
Mhm.
They're gonna come in and do another
Well, that's an
study,
RFP for the administration.
which is not needed, which is another waste of money, but anyway, getting back to our motion.
So-
we got going.
Just for clarification, this is just a bid and the DCD want to be getting to us, right? Do I understand that correctly?
This would be a letter, a formal request. They review the request, then they approve the request,
Request.
and then we would work in concert with DCD to actually define the scope of the study, what we want to look at, and then that goes out for an RFP, and then the state.
So most likely nothing would happen until Q1 or Q2 of 2022.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Why don't we take the mayor's advice and just let the new council look at it, make a decision and make their applications?
Because I think one of the reasons that it was brought up was there was a need, there was a question about a temp officer, need for temp officer, need for scheduling, need for all those things. If we had a free program, we did a study, this council approved a study with the administrative office, or a new council coming in, this would give them the ability to have information to make decisions like we just.
Well, they can do it in 30 days or
So-
40 days here.
They would make that.
Why are we making the decisions for them?
Can I
you know-
finish, or no?
Well, no. I have a question to ask you.
So when
Oh.
I have the floor, you're not going.
Well, who's got the floor?
Mr. Crown has a
All
floor.
right, go ahead.
So
I'll get it right after you.
that's just for 500.
Well, before we do that, let me
With the
ask-
vote was called. Public comment? Anybody in line or in the audience like to comment? So raise your hand. Name and address.
Nobody online.
Okay,
Roll call
roll call vote.
vote. Mr. Amendola,
No,
Mr. Kraus,
I'm gonna let the next council handle this, and I also think that the information that we probably have already received is going to be sufficient. Having another study won't change it, so I will vote no.
Mr. Crown, Mr. Lavasser,
Yes.
Mr. Oliverio,
Yes.
and Ms. Perry.
Yes,
The motion passes 4-2.
All right, thank you. Next.
okay, so we have a motion to place the motion on the agenda to authorize the interim manager to submit a letter of intent to the Department of Community and Economic Development requesting technical assistance to perform an assessment of Crafton Borough's Public Works Department.
Second?
Second,
Okay.
Ms.
Yeah.
Perry made, moved,
Okay.
seconded by Mr. Crown.
Questions, comments?
trying to fix things that aren't broke. Just a waste.
So just to be clear, this is just the letter of intent that would go. So there's many stops along the way if new council decides they don't want to proceed with it.
Correct.
The scope, it can be dropped at any point until the assessment's actually made.
Yeah, until they contract with a consultant. Yes.
Or they could move back.
Motion and a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All that opposed?
No,
No,
Thank you.
Mr. Amendola and Mr. Kraus in the negative.
Okay, so now we have the motion on the agenda to authorize the interim manager to submit a letter of intent to the Department of Community and Economic Development requesting technical assistance to perform an assessment of Crafton Borough's Public Works Department.
Questions, comments?
fixing something that's not broken. You're wanting to move Mr. Sample from interim to public works, or you're making moves all over the world here and all over the borough, and you're just adding more paperwork and more BS. So I'll vote no to this.
Thank you, Mr. Amendola.
You're welcome.
Hearing any other comments, questions from the council? Audience?
Nobody online.
All
Raise
right.
your hand.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
All that opposed?
No.
Thank you.
That was 5-1.
correct.
Mr. Amendola, okay.
At the end of our last budget meeting, we had a brief executive session. Anything you have to add to that? Personnel.
And certainly no decisions were made.
Nope, no decisions were made. Thank you. All right, going to community announcements. There aren't any, but I will note that I believe there probably will be some information coming out about a light up night and the house tour.
And the open house.
Yeah, so the public, there's the Parks Master Plan project going on. And there is a survey that we are asking for participation in the community they can go on the borough website, and there is a link to fill out the survey. Also, there's going to be an open house for the community to come in and look at the plans and make comments on the master plans. That's scheduled for Saturday, December 11th, it's at 10 a.m. I think, Doug, it's 10 a.m. It will be at the park. We'll have hot coffee, hot chocolate, some other refreshments, and hopefully a couple of heaters, Doug?
We're working
All right.
on things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Perry, for the survey, what type of information is going to be gathered and so that the public knows?
I don't have it right. I don't have it memorized at this point, but it's basically how do you use the parks? What, what parks do you use? What kind of amenities do you think we should have added?
Are you
That
aware
sort
of
of
where
thing.
our parks are?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Yes. Thank you.
I completed it, so.
Solicitor Corbel, would it be acceptable for us to update the community announcements and memorialize the link on our updated agenda? Thank you. All right, moving to public comment. If anybody has any questions, comments, please. Mayor Bloom, would you like to have a floor?
Just for a second to make a comment, just to let everyone in the borough know that Santa Claus will be coming with the fire department on Saturday, December the 18th. That's a week before Christmas. And he'll pull out of the fire station at 9 o'clock in the morning. So we hope all the children are available. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so with that, seeing that there aren't any other comments from the public, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you. All right.